If there's anything to be learned from previous videos, it's that the Roblox myth community is full of figures that can be considered underrated. The first video in this mini-series did very well, so a follow-up was basically inevitable. In this video, we will be going over 3 more underrated Roblox myths. The myths featured in this video were suggested by viewers and also handpicked by myself. So let's get into it. The first myth that we'll be going over is one known as Bindism. Bindism is a Roblox myth that is best known for the game The Mind, as well as for being one of the fastest growing myths in the first half of 2023. This is impressive as they haven't been around for that long. Bindism's story dates back to March 18, 2023, which makes them a very new Roblox myth. On the same day, he would create his signature game, The Mind. This would be followed up by the creation of The Garden 3 days later. Bindism soon started getting ranked in various Roblox myth hunting groups. This makes sense as they have gained a lot of popularity in a relatively short time frame. Bindism is a very active myth, constantly updating their games and interacting with the Roblox myth community. Bindism is known to be a very joyful Roblox myth, talking to myth hunters and other myths whenever given the chance. For example, Bindism is likely to give myth hunters clues relating to their myth while in game. Something that makes Bindism unique are his abilities. The most notable one is the ability to summon laser beam pillars. It is said that Bindism has the ability to summon a giant laser beam pillar from the sky, which can be used to kick players from his games. His intentions when using it vary wildly, but Bindism does use it from time to time. Bindism currently has one game that is public, that being The Mind. It has almost 4,000 place visits as of June 3rd, 2023, which is impressive considering it was made back in mid-March. Since this is a Brian Stuff video, we'll be going over some things that can be found in-game. The player spawns in the middle of what looks like an ancient ruin. Immediately, a few notes can be seen in the area which the player can read. One thing I will say is that there are a lot of notes in The Mind, so expect to find a good number of them when playing. Anyway, the map for The Mind is pretty big. Some things you can expect to find here include a bunch of dead trees, several ancient ruins, a lot of hills, geometric shapes, and more. One notable area is a small shack-like structure with a ball inside of it. Interacting with the said ball will trigger a cutscene asking the player if they can help Sullivan, quote, look for someone. If the player accepts the task, they must roll the ball towards a similar area a short distance away. Once this is done, a cutscene will be played showing the task being completed. One other notable area in The Mind is a base at the top of a mountain. What's important about this is that it was already there when Bindism arrived in the area. It contains a few things such as an axe, a couple pillars, a half-sunken statue, and several trusses. Of course, this is not a complete analysis of what can be found in The Mind, but it should give you a rough idea of what the game contains. One notable relationship that Bindism has is with a character known as Arithmech. They are known to be the deuteragonist, or second most important character in the Bindism myth. Both Arithmech and Bindism are very close friends and supposedly live together in The Mind. However, it is unknown if they are related or not. Moving on, there is some trivia that one should know about Bindism. The first piece of trivia is that both Arithmech and Bindism plan on developing their myth games to the point that myth community events can be held in them. Time will tell what happens with those plans. The second piece of trivia is that the star plays a pretty important role in the Bindism myth. How so? Bindism has said that the star prevents him from leaving The Mind. It is also used to smite people who play The Mind through sending down a laser beam from the sky. Anyway, the third and final piece of trivia is that both Bindism and Arithmech say pursue the mind, pursue the memories quite a bit. This quote is definitely significant to the myth story, which is why one should keep it in mind when investigating Bindism's games. Overall, I consider Bindism to be pretty underrated and worth checking out. The second myth that we'll be talking about is Fayar. I know I butchered that name, so I apologize for that. Anyway, Fayar is a Roblox myth that is best known for the game Rome, Italy, as well as for being associated with various other myths and myth hunters. They are a relatively new myth, so there's not that much information on them. Fayar's story can be traced back to March 10th, 2023, which marks the date that they created their Roblox account. Later that day, they created their signature game, which we'll discuss more in depth later. Fayar soon started getting ranked in various Roblox myth hunting groups, some of which include RMH Myth Development and the Unknown Myths of Roblox. Like Bindism, this shows that Fayar has quickly gained a bit of popularity within the Roblox myth community. Fire is a very active Roblox myth, being active nearly every day and constantly updating their myth. Fire currently has one game that is public, that being Rome, Italy. It has nearly 2,000 place visits as of June 5th, 2023. Rome, Italy was made on March 10th, 2023 and was last updated on May 29th, 2023. Anyway, we'll be discussing some things that one can expect to find in-game. The player spawns in the middle of a street in Italy. However, there are barriers that prevent the player from exploring the town. Anyway, in order to progress in the game, one must open the manhole located right near spawn and climb down inside it. Of course, you'll end up in a sewer. Using the flashlight will allow the player to see inside of the said sewer. Exploring around a bit will reveal a part of the wall that is broken. Interacting with this area will break the pile of bricks, opening a pathway that the player can enter. This pathway is a maze full of shelves containing skeleton parts scattered throughout. One of the pathways leads to a room that has a lever, which can be interacted with. Another pathway leads to a medium-sized room that contains a few pillars and some paintings on the walls. I honestly didn't know if there was anything else beyond this point, so I apologize if I missed anything. Apart from that, there's not much else to see in-game. Moving on to trivia, there's not a whole lot of it. Regardless, we're still gonna talk about it. So, let's get into it. The first and only piece of trivia is that Fire has connections to other Roblox myths such as Bendism and Skomic. It's not that important, but I still felt like mentioning it. Overall, I consider Fire to be an underrated Roblox myth and one worth checking out. The third and final myth that we'll be going over is Seedbird. Seedbird is a Roblox myth that is best known for their game Growthfield, as well as for being associated with tons of other Roblox myths. Just like the others featured in this video, Seedbird is a pretty new myth, so there's not a lot of information on them. Seedbird's story dates back to September 15th, 2022, which is the day they created their Roblox account. Seedbird created their signature game 3 days later on September 18th. It wouldn't take long before they started getting traction within the Roblox myth community. One example of this is through them getting ranked in various Roblox myth hunting groups. Seedbird also created their channel in late 2022, posting a few videos on it throughout the following months. Moving into 2023, they made various updates to their myth, expanding on the lore and updating their game. Nowadays, Seedbird is a pretty active myth, logging onto Roblox every once in a while. Seedbird currently has one game that is public, that being Growthfield. It was made on September 18th, 2022, and has a little over 1,000 place visits as of June 5th, 2023. Since this is a video on the Brian Stuff channel, we'll be going over what can be found in-game. The player spawns in the middle of a forest that contains trees, flowers, grass, and a few notes. Immediately in front of spawn, one can find Seedbird coming out of the ground. One thing that can be found in this area is a few posters saying "Join Sun God" on some trees, as well as a spinning statue of Sun God. Moving on, walking through a path to the left of spawn leads to a big house. If the player walks behind the house, they can find a note that reads, "The different worlds are getting damaged. Why is this taking so long?" If you really think about it, it is possible that this is referring to a scientific experiment that takes place in the Seedbird universe. Anyway, the player can enter the house, which contains items that a house would normally have. A couple notes can be found in the bedroom, although they are not readable. There's an interesting site back at the spawn area of Growthfield. To the bottom left, one can find a sign that says settings.storage equals full. Touching it will teleport the player to another game called Server Room. This game is, well, a server room. To the left, one can find a room that contains some hardware, along with some bodies and giant tubes and a computer. A note can be found next to the computer which reads, Log 348. Subject Seedbird has been having some difficulties, but I'm not going to give up on her just yet. I've found some buried growth values in the data field. This further reinforces the science experiment theory I suggested earlier in the video. If I missed anything in either game, let me know in the comments below. Apart from that, there's not much else to see in Seedbird's games. As for trivia, there are a couple facts that one should know. So, let's get into it. The first piece of trivia is that Seedbird is associated with various Roblox myths such as Reaper Impaler, Nebula World, and Town Ghosts. How? They're all connected through being friends with each other. Moving on, the second and final piece of trivia is that it's likely Seedbird isn't the only character in his myth. What do I mean? A couple accounts that Seedbird is friends with seem to be related to his myth. For example, one of the accounts is called Server Rooms and has the Server Room game in its favorites. Another account that Seabird is friends with is named Ubosi, whose game can be accessed through Growthfield. The fact that you can teleport to Mahogany Town through Seedbird's server room implies a connection between the two accounts. What do you think? Anyway, I consider Seedbird to be a pretty underrated myth and suggest checking them out.